A lot of respect to the professional painters out there, because this might look like crap.
Really quick, this is not a how-to or an instruction on the proper and correct way to professionally touch up automotive paint. This video is a simple document of my experience given the tools and equipment available to me at the time. Ultimately, I'm happy with the result. The paint so far has held up, no chipping or fading. It's stayed on there pretty well. So if you are considering doing a similar touch-up and you're not too concerned about having a perfect factory look, maybe you'll find this video useful. I'm going to share my processes, techniques, as well as the pretty significant mistakes I made, and maybe you can avoid those. A professional repair is probably less than 200 bucks. That would have been a better option if I wasn't so certain that this damage would recur. So with that, I hope you enjoy the video and maybe you find some of this useful. Thank you.
You need to turn your wheels to the left, John. You're going into a tree, dude. Yeah, you gotta turn it when you come back.
That's the worst of it on the rim, but I'm also interested in how these skid plates all held up. I hit a lot of rocks, mostly on the front, and I had installed those shock skids, so let's take a look and see what happened. I definitely wrapped this one once or twice. Still dirty. Took some paint off there, but not too bad. See, I bumped this differential skid a few times. I don't think I hit the gas tank skid plate. And this guy definitely took some hits, but glad I put him on there. Let's take a look at the front. That's where I took the most damage. Right there. And again right here. All superficial. No dents. No cracks that I can see. Definitely hit the control arms. Took the paint off and they flash rusted. I don't think that matters. I am glad these plates are on here. That is worth the money to me because I clearly needed them. Got 3 cans of paint from AEV. This aluminum panel to test the color. I'm going to try a couple methods of scuffing up the rim. So regular sandpaper, 320 and 600 grit, Scotch-Brite, regular all-purpose cleaner, alcohol for final cleaning, an orbital sander, and a Scotch-Brite wheel. I was already working it with this when it happened. It seemed to work pretty good. So I got the 3 cans. They were well packaged, no AEV sticker, unfortunately. Anthracite, Satin Onyx, and flat-ish black. These are about 20 bucks each. I've labeled this aluminum with the colors so I can paint the panel and then compare it to the rim. So next step, I will shake these cans up, clean this aluminum using just a degreaser, and go ahead and paint it. Just hit it with some alcohol to take the last little bit away. And shake the cans up. So I got the rim on the bench, and I was already working this with the Scotch-Brite wheel, so a lot of the smaller stuff is taken out, but that wasn't cutting it for this larger gouge and then this one here. So I figure I'll try the orbital sander. I have an 80 grit and a 180 grit. I chose the 80 grit because I'm going to try and go after some of these deeper gouges. So I guess let's just get into it. Yeah, those are pretty deep. I might just have to, yeah, I'm just gonna let those be. Try and smooth this up as best I can. This works good for getting that paint off though. I think I'll follow it around at the deepest spots and then clean it up by hand with the Scotch-Brite on the disc as well as the manual finer paper to finish. All right, I'm gonna hit it a little more. Clean them up maybe a little more with this. It's the blue wheel, I don't know what grit. Yeah, that seems to actually smooth it up a lot better. It probably isn't necessary, but I hit it by hand with the 320. So that'll take the primer right off of there. I'll go ahead and just go around and hit this off camera and clean it up. Get the particulate off. I hit it with compressed air. That'll keep the paint from attaching to the particulate and coming off. Now I'm going to spray it with a degreaser and then follow it up with alcohol, and that should address any organic chemical contaminants, oil, grease, that kind of thing. So hit it with degreaser, clean-ish wipe, give it a good scrub. All these spots that I'm going to be painting need to be very, very clean if I have any hope of this paint sticking, assuming it, matches the color I want. So all that's pretty good and clean. Okay, the rim's out here in natural sunlight. The Satin Onyx seems pretty close. Good enough for me. As you can see, it's definitely, flat black's a little too dark. Maybe you can see that. And then the anthracite is close, but by my eye, it's just a little dark. I don't know. It would probably work, but that Satin Onyx, I can hardly see where the edge of the panel starts and the rim begins. So, for touch-up paint, in my opinion, that's going to work. So we'll go with that. Okay, I got the wheel outside. I taped up the outside of the rim with masking tape and covered the rest with newspaper to keep the spray off the tire. I'm not going to mask off any of these already painted surfaces because I don't want there to be a line when I peel that off. So I think with this way it'll kind of naturally blend in if I spray it right. So last step before I paint, I'm going to use alcohol on these surfaces. This will dry really quickly, and this should ensure that there's no last little bit of chemical on there or grease that might prevent the paint from drying correctly or prevent it from getting a good strong bond to the aluminum. And I'm taking off a lot of the masking tape while I'm doing this, so might be a little bit on the tire, but I can live with that. It's probably good enough. So I'm going to shake the can for another 30 seconds. Satin Onyx. Yep. I think that's what I said. And I guess I'll just hit it. Hold it 12 inches away. I'll start on the edge there. Kind of get my bead. A lot of respect to the professional painters out there. This is not easy, and it is really easy to screw this up and have it run. So you're a professional painter. Thank you for all your time and dedicated effort, because this might look like crap. So yeah, I'm already getting some runs there, but I got most of the base metal. Okay, that's That's not bad for a first pass. I think I'm going to let that dry any more, and I'm going to start getting runs a bit. So I'll let that dry for 5 minutes, and I'll hit it again. I might do 3 or 4 of these. It's been about 3 or 4 minutes, so we'll do the second coat. Same tactic, 12 inches away, just light little sprays. At this point, I'm focusing on where I see the aluminum shining through. Yeah, it started to run up there and kind of orange peel. That's ugly. As far as the color goes, hard to tell while it's drying, but I think it's pretty close. I wouldn't expect to get a better match than that, you know, for a DIY amateur like me. I'm happy with it. I'll do one more coat. All right, final coat. I'll dust the whole thing, blend it in. Seems a little bit flatter satin than the OEM, but this is a rattle can. I'm sure they painted these professionally at GM, so what the heck, I'll live with it. Okay, I got a couple more bits of damage on the other rims that I'm going to touch up as well while I'm doing it, and then I'll put this side by side with a undamaged rim and compare it. So I'll wheel this back. So here's the side by side. That's the factory. That's the large touch-up. It does not match as well as I was hoping. That's got a lot more gloss or shine to it than the touch-up paint, but this wasn't advertised as the correct paint, so a little disappointed. But the good news is I know I'm gonna gouge these again, and I'll have to touch them up periodically, and pretty soon they'll all match. So that's that. There you have it. That is the difference between the factory OEM graphite paint and the Satin Onyx from AEV. Not too bad. Looks 10 times better than it did. This is a little bit more flat. That's got a little more shine and shimmer to it, but you know, from a distance you really can't tell. So if that little bit of difference is going to bother you, this is probably not for you. But if I had to do it again, I might go to Sherwin-Williams or another paint supply store and have them try and match it a little better. But for, you know, touch up here and there, that is not bad. I'm happy with it. Alright, if you made it this far in the video, I want to share some of the lessons that I learned and offer my 2 cents on things I would do differently. I just reviewed all the footage for this, and it was clear to me, at least, I made a mistake when I did that final coat and just dusted the whole thing. I think that covered up the factory gloss where it didn't need to be covered up. Still happy with it, but you know, for touch-up, you really only need to focus on the areas that are affected. Now it's got a little bit more of a flat look. You can see, knock the dust off there. Shiny up here, but that's got that hazy rattle can look, so maybe some wax or something, I don't know. We'll see when they're clean. But final thoughts, you know, I want to know why a company like AEV that makes off-road vehicles would design a rim that is practically flush with a standard off-road tire. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It looks great, don't get me wrong, with a really nice paint, but on the trail, this rim is going to high-five every single rock out there, and to not offer a touch-up paint that matches a little closer is, you know, what are you doing, Dave? Looking at you. Gonna make me buy your bead locks, aren't you? No, I'm just teasing. You keep doing what you're doing. Nice truck. 10 out of 10.